Hey Matt,
Hey, how are you going?
Good. How are
how are you
you?
doing?
Really well. Hopefully, my B-rate studio can cope with this. It's all a bit last minute for us, as you probably are aware. So it's about 12:30 in Singapore, and a bit echoey. So apologies for
Uh,
the.
No worries.
yeah,
Sounds great.
yeah, it's as last minute for us as well right now because of the delays. Please accept my apologies on behalf of the team.
Hey, no problem. It's just a pleasure to be here talking to you guys.
Lovely.
So I think we're just waiting
So,
for the stream to go live. Um, we'll do a quick intro and then we'll get straight on with it for you, Matt.
No
yeah,
problem.
I think we,
We are officially live right now.
Great.
lovely. Let's begin.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We're having our last pitch of this segment, and then we'll take we'll bring everybody back in for around a 30-minute kind of round kind of discussion panel, and then we'll take a break and then come back into our final session of the day. So I want to introduce straight away Matt Page. He's calling in from Singapore, so it's quite late there. Appreciate you coming over and kind of introducing yourself, Matt. And you're representing Finks Flow. So yeah, over to you, Matt. Maybe tell us all about the project.
Great. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. So my name is Matt Page. I'm the head of institutional sales for Phoenix Flow. And thank you very much for the opportunity for us to highlight our project. Hopefully, I'll be able to share my screen and we will get it going. Sorry, guys. I've just got a new computer and I've just got to give access.
No worries.
Right. There we go.
So how do you pronounce it? FinX or Finks?
Finex Flow. Yeah.
FinX Flow. That makes sense. Got it. Appreciate that.
No worries. Hopefully, we will be good to go now.
There we go.
Yeah, we have your full screen. So
Great. Now, as it was a little bit last minute, the presentation we've got is probably a bit more detailed and larger than is needed. So do excuse me as I skip through some bits for the salient points. And this will be available for everyone. I presume they can download this in the white paper afterwards.
Yeah, we can share whatever information you give.
Right.
For now,
There'll be more detail than I'm going to discuss on here. So yeah. Thanks very much for that. So Phoenix Flow, we're the world's first hybrid liquidity aggregator. We are bridging the gap between traditional crypto, DeFi, and CeFi. And we're aggregating rates and prices from the world's leading protocols, granting users the access to the best prices. So it's best price, best liquidity, and best execution on one platform. We all know some of the problems that we face, multiple screens and logins and all of that. We're aiming to solve all that for you. We're all aware of the rise of DeFi, and we're at what, 14.5 billion when I look today. There's a huge opportunity. It's on its second wave, and we want to make it easier and simpler, less scary for multiple people to tap into that. So our main motives for this platform is the issues coming to the space, be it institutional, casual investor, veteran investor. We all know multiple accounts, multiple screens, 13 exchanges, all different prices, different protocols, disparities across all the protocols. There's no guarantee of best price, money on each of the exchanges, and gas fees. By having it in one location with one KYC that is secure and accredited is our platform. So there's no need to go outside of that ecosystem, and trust and security forms the basis of this. and regulation is key, especially as more investment comes from traditional finance. We won't be able to get away from that. And that is where the big money is coming from. I think we can all agree that. So our platform will solve that solution and provide access to DeFi and CeFi all in one location. So how does it work? We've got a hybrid aggregation engine that's working across DEX and SEX, trading pairs, providing deep liquidity. It's automatic price and rate discovery. We are MAS regulated in grandfathering status at the moment in Singapore. And when we get to our roadmap, because we're actually accelerating beyond a roadmap at the moment, we'll explain a bit more about where we're going with Europe and the US. But the key is our FXF token is going to form the utility on our platform. We'll have farming, and that token can be used to reduce trading fees and giving incentives to provide liquidity onto our system. And another key thing is your assets are secure and insured, and they're off that exchange. They're held with us and regulated custody. We aim to be really fast and low latency, and we're bridging the gap between traditional. So in Q2, we'll have the technical standardization to plug into the Fix API for the traditional players, and REST and WebSocket for other protocols. But our founders are from an FX trading background, high-speed trading. So speed, low latency, fault tolerance is critical for us. And that's where we're going to be able to use our aggregation engine with speed to get you the best price. So the idea is to have it in one location, one-click protocol, really friendly for institutions, mobile app as well. And as I mentioned, regulation and security is at the foundation of what we do. And you can go and check this yourself. Going to the website, you can check our status with the MAS, which is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, and we will be doing the same thing in Europe and the same thing in the US. So our FXF token is going to be there to generate token liquidity. We've got DAO voting governance, and there'll be more as our platform grows on how that token can be utilized and speculated on. This is a brief overview of the tokenomics. There's 600 million total tokens. We are right at the end of our private sale. This is probably going to conclude in 10 days. And everyone's got skin in the game from FXF. And you'll see on the white paper, there's different lock-in periods. The team's got a 3-year. So we want this to be a stable and growing platform where there's a real utility to our token. So here's our current roadmap. We just opened last month our office in Cyprus. That's ahead of schedule so that we can start the European regulation. That's going to kick off in Q1. US, we brought forward, and that's going to be Q1. We're going to set up our office in the US and start that process, which will be long for the US regulation. So our platform will go live in Q1, end of Q1. Currently, right now, there's a demo that you can go on our website and request access to the demo so you can see how it works. You've got 4 pairs that you can have on one screen at one time. So it gives you a lot more scope when looking for that best price across different multiple pairs. we've got a great C-level team. James, our co-founder, he really, the sort of genesis of Phoenix Flow came about of his issues that he had with Mt. Gox and the hack, and subsequently losing his funds, which is why security and trust is a real key part of our platform. Thomas has got many years experience in solution architect in standard traditional finance, and Liam's also heavily experienced FX based commodities. We've got a really good board of advisors, some of which will be very well known to you. Mark from Liquid, he's our technical advisor, the head of flow products there. Joel, who I'm sure you all know, Michael Turpin. It's a great team of advisors to guide us as we're charging forward for release in 2021. So it's a really exciting time. Everyone can see that in crypto, it's that feeling. And it's a really great opportunity to present where we sit at the moment for you guys. And please, as many questions as I can answer. If I can't, I'll get one of my colleagues in either the technical or commercial side to set you guys straight. I hope that gives you a good overview.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, shout out to Coach K there on the advisory team.
Exactly.
I do have some questions from social media here. One person asked, will there be rewards for liquidity providers?
Yes, through the FXF token.
Got it. And then
That's
this
going to
one,
help drive the liquidity.
awesome. And this one comes from my buddy Barry. He says, what differentiates Finex from Orion, I think?
Yeah.
Especially from a passive income perspective.
So, but on Orion, obviously, we are going to be regulated, okay? And we're going to have separate custodial insurance for for your assets. And I suspect, I don't know Orion fully, but we're going to have over 25, launch over 25 liquidity and protocols when we go live. So other companies like Tagomi, Spox, more traditional, but in the crypto space, they don't have that spread across the market.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you see yourself as more?
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Do you see
David.
yourself, no, that's okay. Do you see yourself more as an institutional kind of product, or are you seeing yourself as kind of a crossbreed for?
It is a hybrid. It's both.
Yeah.
But we need to make it accessible to institutions. We don't want to cut off the retail investor, and we want that to be a place where both people can play at a fair playing field, because obviously the aggregation engine is benefit for both parties, right? It's not if you're in retail, you're on a separate run. It's linked, so you're both going to get the benefits there. But because we are looking more regulated with KYC, AML, and all those procedures, that we are aware that a certain percentage of the market won't want to do that. Yeah. And we're okay with that. There's other companies out there that can provide that. We want to be the main portal for where the money's flowing, right? So we need to get the right regulation marks in place so that the institutional money can flow, and that's what's really going to drive our whole business forward. But we don't want to forget the retail, and this will provide them an opportunity to get the best price in best liquidity and best execution, which they wouldn't be able to do across that amount of protocols and exchanges, both on DeFi and CeFi.
Yeah, no, sounds good.
But
There's
Orion,
quite a few questions coming in.
Big project from what I could see.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few questions coming in. So I think with that in mind, we will just kind of throw through those if we can. So a quick question is your project, is your product live right now? I think you sort of mentioned it's planning to go next Q1.
The demo platform you can look at right now, so you can get a feel of what it is. Q1, end of Q1, it's going to be released.
Excellent.
So we are not far away.
No,
and the
exciting.
API side will be in Q2, which will plug into the institutional side.
Okay.
Someone on Twitter asked, how do you plan to scale adoption for your product? Someone on Twitter said, how do you plan to scale adoption for your product?
Okay, so I think that the platform is going to really drive that because of the pricing benefits, and then the token side with the farming and the fact that they're going to get the FXF token, which can be utilized against some of their trading fees. You know, people are going to go where they can get the best liquidity, the best price, best execution, and that's what we're aiming to be. So hopefully, if we do our jobs right, that's going to be where we're at, and the money's going to go to that. It's going to, like it flows from DeFi to where the best yields are, it's going to flow to where you can get the best pricing and best liquidity.
Yeah, I would follow up that statement by saying, 1 inch
Yes.
is a liquidity aggregator, and it's supposed to generate best price, or people will leverage it for best price along with others. And I still see that a majority of the volume will flow through Uniswap. The user experience is better there.
Yeah,
It's just much simpler, low friction. So though I agree that in some instances that best price can drive, I also think user experience in terms of UI and UX for frictionless swapping is very important. So maybe you could highlight that aspect as well in terms of how we can lower friction in the process, UI, etc.
Yeah, I think that's best answered by the product development team. But I fully agree with you that I'm a user of Uniswap. I love the simplicity of it. So I fully take that on board and accept that the user experience is critical. And then we have to also bridge that with some of the more traditional, that if they look at Uniswap, it might be a step too far, right? So that's why we're trying to embed it in one platform so that it's got access to all, without some of the we won't have the simplicity of the Uniswap UI, because that's the nature of it. It's just so simple, but it will be on one platform. So maybe we'll get that addressed better by the tech team for you.
Okay.
Joel's been beating us on that as well.
No, that's fine. So I'm just having a quick look over the website. You've got quite a lot of detail here.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you mentioned, you can create a demo.
Yes.
There's an awful lot of information here. It clearly looks very institutional to me, which is like ties in with what you're saying. There's some interesting things in there around dark pool trading.
That's right.
Which kind of sort of hit me initially with regulatory stuff. So I guess that doesn't have any impact there. But I guess fundamentally, you're looking for your competitive nature here is trying to find a trading platform for more institutional, funds as well as people. So I guess there'll be some level of, as you say, KYC.
Yes.
I think probably to get into that dealer broker, that more traditional market,
That's
probably
correct.
people that are more institutional type investors too. And I guess looking on the competitive, you're looking at low fees as well.
Yes.
So, and you've got a credit debit card function too for utility there too. So what would you say is like 2021? What's your biggest focus? And, I guess you're coming from a more traditional background anyway.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're looking to get a bit more involved into the crypto ecosystem. What's your thoughts?
Exactly. And it's mainly to drive liquidity, to get those rewards. Obviously, we want to be the deepest pool of liquidity available so people can get in and out Our dark pool, our smart algorithm, it's going to do TWAP and VWAP. So it's going to slice up those orders into child orders and ping them to all to get your overall aggregated best price. Okay, so that is obviously a more traditional world where we're trying to bridge that gap into crypto. So the first thing is we want to have the right feeling in the space of trust and security, and that we're delivering on global best price, top order book, right? And you guys, you all know, and you can all see the different prices on all the exchanges. And we want to show you that we're able to deliver on that, especially if you're using larger order sizes. And that is going to build trust. So trust, security, best price. And
Matt,
drive that liquidity.
Matt, I had a couple of questions. First off, great pitch.
Thanks.
So your token is going to be classed as a utility token, right? Or is it going to be classed as security?
Utility.
Utility. All right. The second question, what's your hard cap?
We'll talk about that because we'll talk about that offline if that's all right.
Gotcha. The third question, and why I actually asked the second question, is more about KYC, AML, CTF, OFAC, et cetera.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with that? Because it sounds like you're taking liquidity from a lot of places, and even though it's a utility token, you mentioned MAS and the other regulatory bodies. How exactly are you are using third-party providers?
Yeah, Passbook is our KYC, Passbase, sorry, KYC is our KYC check. Obviously, our main hire that's coming, Chief Compliance Officer, is critical for that, understanding all the regulation globally. And I'm sure you can guess where they're going to come from. They're going to come from a traditional space because they've had to go through all of this pain. So we're going to use Passbase, and there's going to be a lot of, it's going to be a lot more regulated in terms of how we're going to go through all the KYC and AML. Mm-hmm. And that may be a barrier to some people joining us, but for us to gain the money further up the tree in institution, we're going to have to do that so they feel safe and secure when they're trading.
Right. No, that point you made, you brought up about like it'll be a certain barrier because cryptocurrency, blockchain, exactly. Anonymity is a big part, right? And if you're going to be doxed, if you will, that could be a huge barrier. So that's why I posed that question. But thank you.
Yeah. Yes, no problem. It's something we're having to differentiate ourselves, and having that custody off the exchange where it's insured. So if Coinbase goes down again, and you can just that order's going straight to KuCoin, Binance, wherever else, or Kraken, wherever the next.
Maybe not KuCoin.
Oh yeah. Well, it will go straight onto our wallet, so it won't touch any issues with if it gets hacked. So that's one of the reasons, because of James, our founder and CEO, when he was affected personally by Mt. Gox. So that whole, how can we keep it in our custody whilst running that protocol so we get the best price and best liquidity in top order book, right? So it is going to be a bit more of a traditional lean, but that's where large money's coming. We've all seen MicroStrategy, we've all seen Square, and buying from OTC and wherever. But having that regulation, I think, whether we like it or not, is coming in the space. The discussion with CBDCs, what IMF are talking about, it's all being discussed. So we want to be ahead of the game when that actually does happen. Having the relationships with the regulators, showing that we followed due process and done our due diligence, we're going to be in a better position once that regulation kicks.
Makes sense. Just last question. Did you say, so you mentioned custody is in-house, and you mentioned insurance. Do you have someone providing or insuring
so
platform
moment,
or users' funds at this point?
Fireblocks is our custodian. Obviously, they've got MPC, which is really secure, and that's where our where the assets are held, insured.
Got it.
So it's off the exchange straight away. One wallet, one KYC, one platform, 4 pairs in one window, one go. DeFi and CeFi. So hopefully it will provide one point of entry for all the purchases.
Great. Dave, I think we should officially step into the panel now because we've kept a lot of people waiting for that.
Yeah.
If there are no question on the social media.
I think there's 2 or 3 more questions actually from Matt. But we could either do that now, or Matt, if you're able to hang around, we're gonna do kind of like a panel discussion, and we can answer those or pose those questions to you then. It's entirely up to you because it's getting late for you.
Yeah, I mean, how long are we talking? I'll just grab a drink and hang on for a bit, if that's easy for you guys.
Probably 15-minute panel. Would you say that's correct, Gaurav?
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying if we have questions, we can certainly pick them up, and let's quickly step in the panel then, because Mohit is there from our pockets. We have hi Mohit, and we have Apurv and Abhimanyu from from InBlocksMe, and just quickly take those questions and step into the panel officially.
Awesome. Yeah. So, did you want me to go through the ones that were coming in from social? I have some for Gather and Oro and everyone else. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not specific.
Are we bringing Oro back in?
Yeah, Oro is in.
Oro is here.
Back in.
Mohit is there.
Okay, perfect.
Let's start from earliest to latest. So maybe we can go through a lightning round so we can have some more substantive discussion. I think I had already pinged off the one question for Gather. So let's start with the other 3 questions. One person wanted to know how you can secure the security of the user's computer is not compromised.
How can you ensure the security of the user's computer is not compromised? Correct. So like we're not accessing essential data, or etc. That's just from the architecture itself and what we require permissions for. We don't need low-level access here. We're talking about high-level access to CPU.
Got it. And someone else also asked, when is the mainnet launch?
Mid Q1 and Q1 roughly.
Awesome. And then over to Oro Pocket. Are you providing the facility for physical redemption of gold?
Yeah, so we've just started the alpha for that. We're currently offering it in European regions, and as soon as the Indian world goes live, we'll be able to offer it in India as well. So why I'm focusing on India is because we have received a lot of support tickets requesting gold delivery in India. Yeah.
So I guess the second question builds off that. Could you maybe go into more detail about your launch plans?
Sure. So right now we are focused on our testnet alpha launch. So basically the access would be only to a limited users. And again, it's going to be completely transparent, much like users have applied for ambassador programs, they'll be able to apply for this. And based on the bug reports, we'll be sending it for audit, and which will take about 2 to 3 weeks time. That's how our testnet is going to go live. Then we have a 3-month window before our mainnet launch, so that all the upgrades, whatever new things need to be added, can be added in that period of time.
Okay. Speaking of auditing, someone wanted you to name the firms providing you with insurance and auditing services.
Sure. So we have Gelmadley Limited, which manages about $3 billion of assets. They are our custodians and are also providing us with auditing. We are insured by Marsh Limited, which is again like a $32 billion company.
Awesome. Do you have a roadmap for transition from POC?
Oh, of course. So what I described is just a part of the roadmap. So next, like in Q1 and Q2, we are purely focusing on adding more asset classes. So we have 3 different teams working on tokenizing various other assets, looking for jurisdictions, figuring out what all can be added to the platform, both in terms of fungible as well as non-fungible tokens.
Okay. And the last question builds a little bit more on the insurance portion. How are the assets on Oro Pocket insured, and is it done via a third party, or do you allocate some funds to a separate pool to do so?
So no, all the assets are insured by a third party, and they also actually make sure that the tokens represents the right to the asset. So none of the gold is controlled by Pocket as the foundation or the company. So that makes
Mhm.
sure that tomorrow, in the worst case scenario, even if Pocket goes under, shuts down, the assets are still owned by the end user. So never would it happen like users are left high and dry.
Do you have customers that you can currently leverage?
I don't understand the question. Could you
Do you
repeat
have
it,
an
please?
do you have an existing customer base?
Oh, of course. So we are already live. We have over 3,000 users now. The registrations are open only by invite. However, users can easily get an invite via our Telegram group. People are sharing their invites left, right, and center there. So yes, we have already successfully executed our MVP and POC, and now we are just looking for expansion.
Awesome. And then I think this is for Finex Flow. Which countries will you focus on mostly in the initial rollout?
So that's going to be all of Asia. Japan obviously got separate custodial issues, and also Malaysia. So they're only going to get access to where the KYC will allow them on the white exchange because of the issues in that country. But it's been Asia first, Europe as soon as we get the regulation, which is why our office is in set up in Cyprus. We're currently in negotiations with the regulator there. Then that will open up, and then US will follow.
Cool. And then the last question is for Gather Network. How are you going to attract users from other platforms in
I
terms
think
of
we covered that
integration?
one
Did we do that one already? Okay.
in the beginning. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that's it. All I have from social at the moment.
I think there's a couple more for thanks, actually, Matt. So I think there was a question around which platform you're using, and someone came in and said you're using the ERC chain as well as Tron. Is that correct, Matt?
That is correct. We have two pairs. We've got Tron,
Okay,
and that opens up some pairs that aren't available, and the ERC20 token as well. So TRC20 to ERC20.
Okay, so gotcha. So following on from that question, someone asked, how do you plan on handling gas fees that you would have in reference to, using the Ethereum platform or blockchain?
Yeah, good question. I think I best defer to the technical team on the exact answer to that. Let's get that back. So because I know that's really important, but a lot of the gas fee issues are going to be transferring funds, and that's the bit that we're definitely going to stop. I will get back to you on the exact answer with the gas fees on the main swap, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no worries. Just another question. So Barry again's asked, he's mentioning if daily volume is $1 billion, what percentage of fees would go to token holders?
I don't think my brain can work at this time on that one, but it's not that it's going to go to token holders. It's that if you're providing liquidity, you're going to be earning the FXF token that you can offset your trading fees up to 30%.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so more like a Binance type of structure then. Yeah.
So the FXF token that's minted, and then we've obviously got buyback into treasury. So the supply's not going to be, it's going to be controlled through the buyback. So it's going to be used as a discount on the trading fees rather than a percentage of the trading fees back, because otherwise, we want to be lean with the trading fees. That's why you can see it's very low.
Yeah. So do you see yourself as like a derivatives platform, or do you see yourself as a cross kind of trading platform for
cross trading
offering? Yeah. Okay.
Derivatives got a separate problem when it gets to regulatory issues.
Exactly.
Things like that. So right now it's just cross trading.
Okay, perfect. I think that's everything. So I think we're up to date, guys, in regards to questions on social media. Since we've got all of you guys together, and this is quite unique, I'm just wondering whether you guys have any specific questions for each other. Obviously, part of TDeFi has a core focus on building an ecosystem, a network.
Yeah.
Obviously, the value here is we're in a room with entrepreneurs, and you're kind of paving the way for success in this industry. And it would be kind of quite an interesting thing to sort of see how you guys possibly are starting to see maybe some cross value. And I don't know if any of you guys have questions for each other.
I have one for Matt. Can I take that now?
Can you speak closer to the mic, Gaurav?
Yeah,
please?
Yeah. Actually, we have to juggle between one of the two, me or him. Can you still hear me? Like, though feeble, but can you?
Yeah.
So yeah, Matt, you mentioned you're trying to negotiate terms with the regulators of Cyprus. That happens to be my topic, and hence I picked it. What kind of access do you want, and what exactly is negotiation meaning here? What exactly are you looking for from a regulator? You're on mute, Matt. Matt, you're on mute.
Your microphone's muted, Matt.
Classic schoolboy error there, gentlemen. Sorry about that.
Happens to everyone.
Sorry, if I heard it correctly, you're saying about regulation in Cyprus.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So obviously, with the EU, if you go to any of the member states, once you get regulation in that state, you then will get automatically EU regulation across all of the EU parties. So Cyprus was chosen for most the ease of use to get that regulation and the speed that meets the European requirements, so that we can get everything sorted quickly. That's why it's in Cyprus. And then because of the slight mess, as David knows, with Brexit in the UK, and no one really knows what's going to happen with the finance industry there until it's done. Once that's done, we'll know whether they are going to use EU laws and go off the back of it, or if the FSA are going to do something completely different, and we'll have to do all the regulation again in the UK. That will come when we know what happened with Brexit. So Cyprus is the first step to get the EU, and once you're there, you're all the 27 member states. It's done.
Yeah, well, that answers my second question, but I'll still a piece of that is still left. Don't you think FCA UK is better and aggressive these days in understanding, granting authorizations to crypto projects than anywhere else on the planet?
I missed that last bit. So he's saying about the UK being aggressive.
Yeah, the UK FCA being aggressive with the authorizations for crypto operations and forms and factors, like different forms and factors. So wouldn't it be easy to go through UK route, a UK FCA route?
We hope so. Yes. It's just obviously there's a larger market in Europe, and that's the easiest one to get first. So we don't want to delay the UK, but until they know what they're going to do on the 1st of January, we'll then put that into plan as soon as we know where we're at with what.
Yeah,
I don't even think the UK knows where they're at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, we'll open up for the ecosystem now.
Yeah.
I think Reggie had clear intent to talk to InBlocks. The entire team wanted to talk to InBlocks.
Yeah. I mean, the product you're building, I see a very clear value add between what you're building and what Gather needs from an onboarding and even offboarding perspective, right? The frictionless onboarding is really, really important, and would love to have a conversation, offline at some point to discuss how we could kind of get working together, if you will, if possible.
For sure. Hey guys, I was not there. I was watching the whole thing. So it was great to see everyone, building great stuff. I couldn't catch up with Phoenix that much, but I think everyone else, I already know pretty much what they're building, but it's great to see everyone where they are at the moment. And thanks, Reggie. And, we definitely can connect after after this, I think Gaurav's with you. He can connect us anytime.
I think the agenda right now is to have live examples of the ecosystem building up. So this is quite unorthodox, especially with crypto accelerators that we have. Projects coming up that are still in inception stage. We have projects that have listed. We have projects that are a year old, and all of that coming together to form that ecosystem as David clearly fleshed out. So it'll be. I think we have like quite 15-20 minutes. And if you're able to discuss a use case right within the ecosystem, it is way more important than, no offense, than all the people watching the feed live, because this is what the core agenda of an accelerator and ecosystem is.
I would love to, if I've been given the time to probably speak for 5 minutes. Like most of the people in the ecosystem also know, when they give me time, then I don't shut up. So I was just
I have the mute button right here, so don't bother.
great. Yeah, so as a use case, Inblocks network obviously is the bigger ecosystem enabler. The responsibility that I had taken a couple of years back, when there was a lot of I would say, just in single word, crap happening around late day 2017 era, and starting that, I had to closely knit the community together. Started off with that. Wasn't making products. I was making a different solution for the fintech ecosystem in India, where I developed the fastest lending engine, completely automated, digitized, end to end, and subsequently was focusing on making Nblocks network as a community enabler, hosting events every Friday and Saturday in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Delhi, and became like one of those gatherings where people wanted to come and just really come out and have fun, share knowledge to the core, founders speak about their projects, and essentially gathered what the community really needed. And where I was focusing on,
Love the pun.
and where I was focusing on is what they were actually needing. And I used to hear so many people not being able to access dApps, and they were hearing about dApps, but they were not accessing it. They were not able to keep their keys secure. They were going to exchanges and trading and making money for sure. And there were a lot of signal groups that they can help with, or many other mentors and traders that could help them. But they were not able to actually derive utility of applications served on top of blockchain, let alone making their private keys less manageable, and gain a better experience. So since 1 year, 3 months, completely focused on developing systems to secure and maintain 5 aspects of onboarding, without getting into Oracleization systems at the moment for identity, serving identities, hosted on top of our foundation. But that's where the use cases are coming from now. And apart from serving a great use case for a normal dApp, which has come into place by using one package of our keyless package and our Nblocks ID package, one package, they are able to get an array of services to manage their whole dApp instance, and also connect seamless experiences to users that come and use it from our foundational methodology, keeping their existing wallets in place, keeping their new wallets in place, and getting them to even keeping a keyring structure, managing 1 billion entries as records, and keeping that in their discretion. And further on, we're moving into identity infrastructure, which is our account aggregation practice, and moving into payment settlements, because we have a name. That's why we wanted to have a name-induced wrapper function on Ethereum. And we didn't want to use ENS because of various reasons of prefixes and suffixes, and why wouldn't enterprise and brands use it? So even gave time to make relayers so that we can fund gasless transactions and have meta transactions possible for the complete app ecosystem. It was a long process, and people thought that we're building and we're not building and we're building, and then it was a very close product to the payments service provider settlement, right? So PSP became a very close attribute to us moving forward, and hence I was getting a little more confused in the governance of the business and legal aspects of the business. And suddenly, like Shikha Mehra was a very dear, genuine friend, such as Gaurav as well. She came and said that this is a very important aspect, and she loved the product. Apoor was good at the from the tech side, and we make magic happen like that. But we needed governance, and we needed us to grow up in the legal governance side, and that's what we did with our new co-founders. and co-promoters, Shikha Mehra and main chain as in general, which gives us more stability. And now we get into payment settlements, business, India and abroad, obviously crypto right now, name basis, but going in on ramp on off ramp with our partners at the moment, and then later on expanding with the payment settlement processes. Giving our background in digital lending and banking services, financial services, we get a lot of inroads in the best product companies in India and in Southeast Asia. And I think we're going to leverage that. But first concern is to make dApp experiences better, and then convince more and more people from getting app migration to dApps. And we, like, the community that we built with InBlocks is genuine 22,000 people. So there's no like, not like someone who's a robot, but they're real people, and they all are doing great things. And I think so, Mohit, Gaurav, everyone that I know of, I think I have been introduced through the engagement in events, because the first 6 years of my crypto life was in very dark mode and very different mode. So coming out and getting a community first, or being a person who can just be himself in a group of people, and no expectations, no strings attached, I think that made me kind of build these different things. But this is one thing which we are doing, and InBlocks Me is our virtue of getting the ID infrastructure, getting a wallet that is now your identity, and then keeping that secure in a keyring based principle, which probably, like, bank grade people can resort to. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of patience, working together, of making all of these features getting in. It's not just an application; it's a software package, and it's a bundle. It works 5 cases in once, so that a person doesn't even know that he's either logging into Facebook or either logging into a dApp. And that should have been like the experience enhancer that I think blockchain applications really need. And no one would spend time on this, because everyone's spending time on the utility aspect of the blockchain. So someone had to like take a back seat and say that we're not going to rush with like just a use case in general, but rather provide a technology infrastructure which can create many use cases, which can be just a middleware that is frictionless for people who want to migrate to dApps as developers, and also for users to just have one identity, but with a plethora of wallets inside. You can't stop how many wallets would there be, and also what kind of digital asset vault. So that's why we say ourselves as a digital asset vault. We don't say as a crypto asset vault only. We're definitely crypto secured, but why I'm saying a digital asset is because now utility companies are wanting their KYC checks to be, let's say, inside that vault for a stipulated period of time. And our use cases are coming out.
Manu, how do you want me to push the mute button?
That's all in your hand. But in general, like, I think that is where we have reached.
Just wanted to break the flow so that we can settle in the next 30 seconds at least.
Yeah, I'm sure. And as you can see, like the right guidance was there, and second, great team is made like very like, it takes a lot of time to make a great team, and everyone like fits in the puzzle. We only need like 10 people, but we need the best 10, and we need the 10 that is best fit for this like business, and who can contribute it like completely with faith, rather than anything else. Like faith matters most, because once we fix an agenda, it's not like who's going to burn money. Money is going to come from wherever it's going to come, but like the agenda needs to be sorted. And I think we built that faith along the way to get an experience that matters, and that's InBlocks Me, like in
so yeah. Abhimanyu, I think everybody. I think that was one of the questions that I wanted to have when Apur was presenting that what he wanted to do with the huge community you have built around InBlocks Me. But I think that's been answered in an elaborated manner, so to say. Mohit, InBlocks, and Reggie, I think these are the 3 projects here. I have one question in particular, and that's something that every discussion about DeFi boils down to. What's your idea of interoperability between chains, infrastructures? Where does it comes up together? I know there's a Tezos angle and a Matic angle to Oro. I know there's a Matic angle probably to InBlocks as well, right?
Yeah.
So can we take like
throughout?
Yeah, let's take like a minute, starting from Matt, on understanding how do they see these respective products expanding in the near future when these infrastructures, these heavy infrastructures with lot of money that's being built, that is being spent to build the ecosystem, Tezos, Matic, EOS, although it's been not so much out in the lights, but all these billion-dollar raises around large infrastructures, they have to come together somewhere because everybody is biting their piece of the pie and still building a pseudo, like a silo of their own, tiny ecosystems. So do you have an agenda or a future roadmap to merge multiple ecosystems to be a truly interoperable DeFi project? Or how do you see that working? I'll pass it over to Matt to begin with.
Hi, thanks. I think I got most of that. Obviously, our platform is going to evolve, and the main basis of it is to aggregate and connect into all of those disparate systems. And the reason where we're around is because there's lots of disparate systems that are all doing their own thing. So I'm quite interested in like dual node, non-invasive interoperability. So being out in Southeast Asia, I know a bit of a pet project, Cardia Chain, is very interesting because they have that technology. And being non-invasive, that could be interesting into how we can expand that space. I seem to remember in the back of my mind, one chain have even got a form of that. But
the Interoperability Alliance.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I believe Cardia Chain is the only one that's like dual node, non-invasive. I know they've got a patent out for that, and that will open a lot of that up because you're not going to have wrapped and changing of code or anything like that. So that's why that project interests me, as well as what they're doing in Vietnam. And obviously we've got Zilliqa based in Singapore as well. So it's like every industry outside of finance, in my old world, everyone goes disparate until it's mature enough and someone disrupts, and then it will be fully interoperable. So everyone wants to hold their piece of pie until it gets to the point where market forces and a disruptor comes in and says, right, we can do all of this. So the question I have for the board is something like that dual node, non-invasive interoperability that Cardia Chain appear to have, is that going to be one of the catalysts that's going to help? And would they then do an open source to solve the problem across the industry? I don't know. That's my little bit.
Yeah, I mean, to sum up your answer and finally trying to find a conclusion to my question. You're waiting for someone else to solve that, and I'm saying that in a good way. So you're waiting for like a truly interoperable infrastructure to solve that, something like Polka or various other systems, and then use that in your system to further be a truly interoperable system. Is that what you're saying?
I think, yeah, we're going to have to see how it plays out, because obviously our system, the idea is that it's getting all of those disparate systems in one place so that the client gets the best liquidity and price for what they're choosing. So when it comes, and that's one of the reasons why we've done a Tron pair as well as an ETH pair, so that there is some interoperability at the start, but it's still not solving the problem that you talked about. And I think another technology provider is going to do that. And when that happens, then it makes sense that we tie into that solution to solve the problem, reduce all the fees and make everything quicker.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that brings me to a very interesting solution that Oropocket has implemented. Mohit is using Tezos, Matic, some parts of Ether, and has plans to bring a lot of other ecosystems, infrastructures, content infrastructures together. But a beautiful angle to that is centralization. And in fact, that's, I know partially the answer to my question in this case, but I would want Mohit to sort of give us his idea of how he plans to cross-operate through multiple ecosystems, infrastructures, and make Oro work for others, for everyone.
Thanks, Gaurav. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. Since the time this event has started, my token price has gone up by more than 12%. So let's do it every week.
It's not even started, dude. It'll happen in the next 1 week when these videos go viral.
Yeah, I think we should do it every week. 12% jump a week is like really good. So specifically to answer your question, see, interoperability is like connecting flights, connecting nations with flights, right? There are two components to it, whether it's technically possible and whether it's logically, is it needed to be done, right? So technically, of course, and all the startups here can just like in a couple of hours create a code to wrap one on the other, right? So it's possible. But why do it is more important, right? The chain that you are getting your either assets or solutions on needs to have something unique, right? That's why they have users on them. Like, for example, in our case, Matic was really good because of the microtransactions, the low fee, the high throughput, right? We're not getting any throughput on Ethereum, but on Matic, we're getting like really good throughput. They can support up to 7200 TPS. Coming to the Tezos part of the chain. So no other chain in our experience has offered a better on-chain governance as compared to them. So they solve our governance problem, right? If there are more chains, right, that have some unique features, then of course bridges would be built, right? And some part of them to begin with would be centralized, and over the period of time, either they'll be decentralized via oracles or via validator nodes or via alliance block, as Matt rightly pointed out, right? I think just creating bridges for the sake of creating bridges is not going to scale. Sure, in the short run, with the bull move going on, sure, it might just work, right? But if they don't have use cases, see, what I'm trying to say is there's no point in building something if nobody's going to use it, right? So we need to understand why do we need these bridges, and if we find use cases, then of course build them.
So your approach to this, again, conclusion, how is Oro Pockets planning to solve, or is solving it, at least for now, to inculcate as many assets through different infrastructures?
Right.
Because I know you already are.
Right. So we are currently available on 3 chains right now. We currently have 2 assets, gold and silver, on these chains, apart from the USDC, of course. The thing is that over the period of time, we'll be adding more and more assets to these 3 chains and not limiting ourselves to these chains. Again, it's all about the use cases. Like, for example, Algo if is able to offer us, or Binance Chain is able to offer us something unique, which we currently don't have, whether it's in speed, user experience, technology, whatever it is, then of course, we already have the solution ready for it, right? If we have been able to operate between Ethereum and Tezos, right, then technically it can be operated in any of the others, right? It's just wrapping it at one end and having a transaction oracle to execute it on the other, right? So right now, how we are doing it is we have tokenized gold and silver on all these 3 chains, and based on the use case, like for example, for the Oro Pocket app that you have, all microtransactions happen on Matic network. The again, with the Oro Pocket app, the governance that you'll be able to do in future when you're voting for any changes, even with the interest rate, all of that's going to happen on Tezos, right? So it's very directive, very concrete on which chain being used for what purpose.
Lovely. I'll take that to Apoorv, CTO in Blocks. Inbox intends to obviously bring the retail to crypto and rather applications, Web3 and more, all the decentralization coming in place. How do you plan to knit cross infrastructure interoperability amongst the scattered ecosystem, and then bring it together through a solution?
So if you look at the kind of infrastructure we have built, it is something which sits on top of a blockchain. Okay, currently we are totally built on Ethereum.
but we can extend that to any blockchain we want. And if that is EVM compatible, that is the best thing. So we can directly migrate to Matic, I mean, any day, because that is EVM compatible. And we're also looking at Tezos in the future, because it makes a lot of sense to go on Tezos, because a lot of dApps are going to come on these two chains and even EOS. So I think where Inblocks Me sits, it's really important for us to be interoperable over there. And the way forward.
Absolutely.
So, to add on to what he just said, what we did firstly was it was the maximum amount of dApps in any chain where we had to operate and completely disintegrate first at the user experience and then integrate into our solution was taken as to be Ethereum. And even we decided we could have gone with Matic since 2 years, because I've been like with them since Gaurav knows that 2 years already happened. But the point was to go to Matic only for those extensions. Our identity is based on a blockchain, right? And then we give the exploration capabilities and all the analytics and all the use cases that come are post that, right? And the experience had to be enhanced on Ethereum first, where there are at least 2000 dApps, out of which like 100, 150 are being utilized like by the ecosystem right now as we speak. So first is this, then the identity has to completely move on. So Tezos, principally, we have designed the system, we have done the architecture, and it is compatible, it works. If to program it, we'd need a month, we get that sorted. But only when our requirement of usage of blockchain applications on Tezos will tell us that, oh, there are 100, 200 established parties that need some serviceable product, or there would be an influx of parties. We know that there is, but it's not now. It's probably 300 to 500 days away from where we see it. And Matic, if we had just made it on Matic and not served Ethereum use cases, then only the apps that are active on Matic network could have been serviced, and not the whole Ethereum bunch. So
I would want to bring it back to interoperability, building your solution.
Yeah, so that's what I was coming to. That's what I was coming to, that our application in the first phase offers you on your Ethereum identity different wallets, the top 5 wallets, which are the most used ones, which is Bitcoin and Tezos and Atom and obviously Ethereum tokens and ERC based, everything works. But on that identity inside the vault, you have the operations and operability of your own private key manager for all these ones, the top 5 ones, including Ripple. And because
so is it a centralized approach you're talking about?
No, this is
where does the identity sits in all of this?
Identity always sits on the main chain of Ethereum at the moment, and we have to move completely. When we select another chain, then we have to move completely the infrastructure. When Gaurav Dubey wants to come in and says that I want my main identity to be on Ethereum, or I want my main identity to be on Tezos, and obviously then explore like the whole of that ecosystem using the same name, and
okay,
so we'll be compatible.
Is there a use case, Reggie? Because I know you're more on the B2B side. Your businesses barely bother with Gather, pun intended. They don't bother on what infrastructure you're serving the solution on, but they do bother about transferability, the transparency and execution of the engine, and tracking all of that. So does that really concerns you? Are you planning to build an interoperable system?
It's something that we'll have to do at a certain point of time. I'm really going to go back to how Mohit answered. Honestly, technically, you can do it, right, from bridges to atomic swaps or whatever it may be. But I think the more important aspect is definitely the use case. If we see that users want an easier way to swap funds or do whatever it may be on a separate chain outside Gather, and there's enough demand for something like that, all right, we're going to build it because our users want it at the end of the day. But as Mohit very rightly said, if there's no use case for doing that, why would we do it? Initially, we don't see, we would definitely have to consider interoperability with Ethereum when we move to our own chain. I think that would be very important just because Ethereum itself. But it is more use case driven and what the users themselves they want. Technically, there's multiple solutions to manage this. So it's not that big of a concern, but something we would address.
So the reason I asked this question is because of all these which is a conversation that we usually have with upcoming projects, rather call them ideas. I mean, this is one of the biggest questions that they have in their roadmap on how would they solve it? Should they even solve it or not? How much effort do they actually dedicate? Because, solving interoperability requires 10 times the team you need to build the same solution on a single infrastructure. In terms of knowledge, in terms of, dealing with the infrastructure, whatever. I mean, unless we're talking about Tezos and others who are giving you heavy grants to boost the ecosystem, I mean, that pays off well only in countries like China and India. But, coming back to business, what is, in a sentence, I mean, probably two, what is your suggestion for the startups watching it, the ideas in the heads watching this video feed, on how much do they actually think about interoperability? If yes, how would you rate these chains? Which chain would you rate first? If you are a network of your own, probably the first preference to integrate with. And if you are like others, a token or a smart contract running on a chain, what should be the order of priority in terms of building upon? So I'll again begin in the same sequence. Matt, would you take that? Matt, you mute. Matt, can you hear me?
Sorry, James.
There we go.
My phone's blasting off and I missed some of that. I apologize.
What's your suggestion for startups watching this live feed about how much of their energy and resources or thoughts should they dedicate towards interoperability of their solution? Or should they just think about one chain, and what chain should that be?
Well, it depends on what they're wanting to achieve. I think that answers it, because as we've just heard, various people's different views of using Tezos and Matic, they've gone for the best solution to deliver what they want for their project, and then looking at the interoperability if it's needed. So if they're concentrating on something that's not going to give immediate value right now, they might be missing the core of what they want to achieve in that space. Trying to maintain focus on what you're actually set out to deliver, because the technology will be able to adapt when you need it. So concentrate on your core mission first, knowing that the skills are available and the technology is available if that changes.
Gotcha. That's very practical. I think there's something knocking your phone. Again,
yeah, sorry, it's going off. I'm trying to mute it and my phone.
The life of a CEO.
Yeah, Apoorv, would you want to take that? You've been recently, you're on the stage, recently building up.
So rightly said by mentioned by Mohit also in the previous question, that it all depends on what exactly they want to do. If they want complete finality and immutability of every transaction, they can go with Ethereum. They want better governance, they can go with Tezos. And so, I mean, suggesting one particular chain.
Can I stop you guys for a minute? I mean, sorry for interrupting. See, obviously, this is the most, I wouldn't call it diplomatic, but the easiest answer to this question. But I am not actually.
You'll have to let me.
Yeah, I'm not actually looking for this one.
If you want a straight arrow,
He's looking for the controversial answer.
I'm actually see this is not a tough question to solve on with this answer. That depends on what they're making, but the reason why everybody is actually making it on Ethereum, it's about the ecosystem that's there, right? Obviously, Matic looks like a phenomenal system when it comes to transaction. It has all the beautiful good properties of Ethereum, right?
But I think infrastructure is the people like us who are building startups, and this industry is tech driven and technology oriented. The most anyone would say is we build foundations on things that support, there's a community support, there's an active support system and lifelines. And Matic has proven that side. Hence, we are taking so much time. Probably their name or Tezos has built up that, but the foundation infrastructure or community around the ecosystem, if that's stable, that's where a tech system or gene of a tech can actually become bigger. So startups.
Exactly what I'm talking about here. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so it would not be named as Ethereum or anything, but any kind of a state machine that could deliver your fundamental tech jobs and has a defined community around it where you can get support, where you can ask questions, where you can get answered also, not like making it difficult. Maybe that's where Ethereum beats like others. There's also obviously built up a great ecosystem support system, and I think the top 50 projects and 100 projects that come, they actually make that sufficiently possible. That if someone wants to build, even like I would say as for Lisk or EOS, they did try hard, and they are trying hard still. And even like Tron is trying as hard as they can. It's not like they're not. But again, the ones who are winning, see everyone made distros, right, on Unixes. So distros were there, they sufficiently did your procedures, and what came out, all right, is different 6-7 systems that are still supported, still going strong. And that's what's happening into any kind of P2P networks as well. That those were P2P foundations, and these are P2P foundations too. We need to select the ones that have the most amount of P2P support. If there are more peers on the network, that's where we should be and building, and check the stability, check the deprecation attributes of how fast things are evolving on that particular system, where you are basically just like seeding yourself in. You're trying the tree to grow in that seed, and that's the soil. So I think that
So unless somebody has something to add on this, I think we have covered both the more diplomatic answer and more straightforward answer.
So
You have something
Gaurav,
to add, Reggie? Yeah, Mohit,
sorry.
please. Yes, please.
So Gaurav,
Go
I
ahead, man.
believe that see, as Charlie Munger said, right, fish where there is fish, right? I absolutely agree with Abhimanyu on this, that because it has already a support system, hence people are going to it. But see, that's the problem right there, that because of that, it also has a lot of problems, right?
Yeah.
And hence we have these great chains popping up and building the support system necessary for development, whether it's easy migration because they are using the same solidity and same everything, or it's the kind of development network support that these people are able to bring in. uh, I think your question is more like which is a better programming language to use to build, say, an ERP. Very difficult to answer, purely depends on the use case. Obviously right now everybody wants to be on Ethereum because that's where all the users are, right? It's branching out, and in the next 12 to 18 months, the number of apps that you're seeing on Ethereum, they're not going to be as many. They're going to adopt other chains as well, right? So we just need to see who and why is able to create that movement
And
away from Ethereum.
that's exactly where my question sits. Uh, this is like, I'm not asking you to be statistically precise, but what do you think? Where is this branching out? Which one happens to be the second one after Ethereum? That's what I'm trying to find out.
It's interesting. There's so many contenders, right? You have Atom, you have Dot coming up. Dot is very hot right now. I mean, if you ask anyone going out, and then as they mentioned Tezos, it's hard to say, but if you just look at the hype factor right now, not users, Polkadot seems to be a hard contender, but this is not talking about right now, but in the future, and no one can tell. I mean, the crypto market is so fast, right?
Let me give you a perspective. So from the very Indian ecosystem, like obviously, a majority of projects here are Indians.
Your mic's a little low, Gaurav.
Yeah, I'm saying from an Indian ecosystem perspective, because most of the projects here are Indians. From our world, outside of the world, especially in the logged pandemic stage, it looks like Matic is wiping off everyone else. So is that the state around the world, or is it just the village that we live in?
Yeah, let me step in here real quick on that.
Yeah.
On that note, so Polkadot is still a ways out, maybe a half a year. Matic is onboarding people right now in terms of integration, but I think where you can really see the adoption happening is in the price action of Kusama. You can see that Kusama, even with some of the bear pullbacks that impacted a majority of the altcoin market when we had that $50 drop on Ethereum, etc. Kusama just kept going, right? And the reason you're seeing that is because Kusama is essentially the Litecoin or the test chain of Polkadot. So a lot of people who are in that adoption phase, that early stage adoption phase of Polkadot, are basically seeing that this is potentially a dynamic shift for interoperability. It used to be that blockchains were trying to chase Ethereum and chase Bitcoin and be part of this interoperable ecosystem. But instead, what Polkadot is saying, hey, how about we rework the framework and we'll be kind of the centralized oracle for that that interchain connectivity, and doing it in a way that helps Ethereum scale at cost. So it's really interesting that, you know, I haven't heard much from you guys about Polkadot and more of the current stage iteration, but it kind of goes towards maybe what some of you were saying about how, you know, if they provide value, then we'll build on it. Polkadot has a lot of grandiose dreams, but it's not necessarily tangible in front of us outside of the Kusama testnet that's essentially being leveraged by developers. So why don't we go around the room and maybe cap the conversation with Polkadot on the interoperability portion, and then I think we'll go to break until session 3. We'll start with you, Matt.
Thanks. I mean, it's a little bit out of my skill set, and I'm learning every day. But I'm interested. I mean, you talked about Cardano and ADA and how that fits into that pie with Gorgon when that comes out. Sorry to change the Kusama Polkadot bit.
Right, maybe we'll have Mohit then jump in.
Yeah, sorry.
I think that it has great potential, right? It has given a proof of concept as well executed. I think we're still a little away, probably like 6 months, 9 months down the line. I think if there are more use